Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of MexiMindMatters. I am your host, Super Mex, the Mexican Alex, here to spread the knowledge to the world and the masses. Well, rave reviews from episode 1 and 2. Definitely a lot of people love the podcast. But how to top that off? I'm not entirely sure. For one, I do know that the hour-long podcast last time did not fit in most platforms that I uploaded it to, so I'm going to have to trim this down a little bit. But I thought it would be a good thing to discuss this week, education as a whole in this country. Mainly because, it is 2016. We do have new candidates that are running for president. To be quite honest, I do not seem very comfortable voting for either or, but if I had to pick my poison, I would definitely prefer Trump's nonsense over Hillary's, mainly because Donald Trump, speaks his mind, and I can definitely attest to that. But the problem is education at its core. And a lot of people are not going to agree with me on this, and there's going to be a lot of haters out there, but I'm forewarning you. You guys can just suck it, because if you really don't like what I have to say, I don't know, then just turn the volume down. I don't care. Mainly, and I'm going to start with a personal story. Moving here at a young age definitely hinders you, especially if you're an immigrant. I had the luck of moving here when I was 18. My brother came into his, I believe, junior year, so he was still rescued from the nonsense of American education because he had a good background abroad. But my little brother is the one that suffered. I love the guy, but basically he's right now playing in a band that they're okay, but they're not really going anywhere. They're set up in the basement of my parents' house, and they practice every so often. They play gigs around the state of Ohio at random Joe Schmo bars that nobody's ever heard of, and at random hippie fests, and that's about as good as it gets. Seriously, other than the parents supporting financially the band, I don't see this going anywhere. He, I think, came into 5th grade, I believe, when we first moved here. And it saddened me that the more time spent here, the more Americanized he got. And it's a lot easier to be acculturated when you're younger. The problem is the U.S. educational system is not built to, encompass everything that you need going forward in life. You're, study whatever you want to study, do whatever major you want to do in college. Even when I first got here, I had no idea what a major was, and nobody explained it to me. It's like, oh, something you want to study. I'm like, great. Let me look into that. It is definitely, wrong, and, how to put it, faulty. It's got its faults at its core. Mainly, comparing it to how I went to school, I don't understand how kids nowadays, the more years you are at school, the earlier you finish, which it's still baffling to me. When I was in high school, the more classes you had every year. Your freshman year, you probably finished at around 4:30. Then your sophomore year, you finished at 5:30. My senior year, I was out of class and out of school around 6:30. And then I had practice. If I had practice, I didn't go home till 9. And we didn't choose what we wanted to study. We had everything, like physics, chemistry, geography, history, math, I even got calculus in high school, and you know, it wasn't like here where like, oh, if you're really really smart, you get advanced college courses in high school. I mean, no, it's flat out across the board. This is what you get, and because this is what we believe everybody should know. And I do think that actually brings about, better adults from the teenagers. If you look at most other societies around the world, in Europe and South America and Central America, at the early age of 18, 19, 20, kids are more, mature than here in the United States. I mean, I remember my little brother coming up to me and complaining about taking an art history class. I mean, art history, really? History already does not change over time. Like, history now is probably the same as history when I took it. Like, world history, Napoleon, U.S. history, it's the same. It has not changed. What happened in 1950 is the same now as, if I took the class 10 years ago. And he was complaining about art history. Oh my God, it's too much paper, too many papers to write, and too much to do. Are you freaking kidding me? Like, no, it's not complicated, and it's not the same. Like, even take languages, for example. Like, I work with languages. I speak multiple myself, and on my job, I get the most dumbest questions from people who have bachelor degrees. I'm not talking about caseworkers, doctors, nurses, attorneys even. I mean, these are people who've gone X amount of years to school and have degrees. And I'm getting questions like, I need an English interpreter. Are you serious? You want an English interpreter? Yes. Okay. Well, if they speak English, why do you need an interpreter? And even when I say that, it doesn't hit them that they're asking something stupid. Like, oh, yeah, well, maybe it's not English. And half the time it turns out that, oh, well, the patient's deaf. Oh, you mean American Sign Language. I mean, it could be common sense to a certain degree, but it's the way the kids are brought up these days. I mean, it's schooling, for lack of a better word for it. I mean, I took Spanish and French as minors at Ohio State University because they let me. I mean, I'm fucking Mexican, for crying out loud. How the hell did they not consider me a native speaker of Spanish is beyond me. Like, they're like, oh, well, you left Mexico when you were 2 and you never took a Spanish class, so, oh, yeah, you sure, you're a foreigner. Great. So I purposely failed the placement test just thinking, oh, I can get easy A's if I take more classes, not accounting for the amount of stupidity I would have to put up with from other students. Well, yeah, I mean, it worked. I got easy A's, but it kind of backfired from, a frustration point of view, because I could not stand everybody else in class. And you had this one girl, I can't remember her name, but I used to call her a Hispana girl. She could not say the ñ in Spanish. I mean, that's like the first thing you learn how to say, like the alphabet. Like, pronunciation should be the first thing in every language that they teach you here. They don't. I mean, in the U.S., pronunciation is not the first thing they teach you. They teach you words and colors and God knows what else, but you should be able to pronounce the alphabet and every other core word when you start learning a language. And this girl, I had her for like 5 or 6 classes in my minor, and she could not say the ñ. It was always Espana. Woman, and I wanted to just stab her in the throat. And the problem I was running into is the teachers would not correct the mispronunciation. They just let it go. And it wasn't until we got to, I think at the time it was 604, which is the pronunciation class. And mind you, we're taking 103, 104, 201, 250, 401, 403, 404, then 601, 602, 603, 604 pronunciation class. The teacher finally said, oh no, honey, it's España. And I'm like, thank you, Lord God. I don't know what it is now at Ohio State because they're in semesters, not quarters. So the class numbers are different, but still, I mean, and that girl is a Spanish teacher somewhere in the city of Columbus. Here, locally, Columbus, Ohio. That girl is teaching other people Spanish. Now, I'm not saying you can't learn a language and be a good teacher, but I do know that people who are fluent in languages, so people who are born bilingual, are usually the ones that make the better professors and make the better teachers of languages, especially. And it's just like I had a professor who was from Cameroon and he studied Spanish in Spain. So he was a Spanish professor here at Ohio State. Okay, but kind of concerning that I knew more Spanish than that professor, me being Mexican. I mean, that's something that, shouldn't happen. And I'm blabbing on about languages, but it works for everything else. Geography, I could go outside right now and quiz 10 people about U.S. geography. They do not know. I've mentioned previously, I've had exes that didn't know Chicago was not a state. It's a city, Midwest. Well, over by the Great Lakes in Illinois. No, it is not the capital of Illinois. And you just have to go and take the citizenship test that you take to become a U.S. citizen. It's 100 questions you study. They ask you 10. You only need to get 6 right. And it's basic history and geography of your country, of the United States. And every foreigner looks at it like this is a cakewalk. But most U.S. citizens, most Americans do not know the answers to these questions. Who did we fight in World War II? Oh, I don't know. Really? You have no idea? Oh, name the 13 colonies. Why is there 50 stars on the freaking flag? I don't know. Really? You don't know? You have no clue? Oh, I don't know. I've never left the state of Ohio. How have you never left the state of Ohio? Seriously. How are you not shooting yourself? How are you not, drinking bleach? I swear. It is, and it's across the country. And this is why Donald Trump is winning in the polls or, beat out everybody in the Republican Party. Like, you have these sort of mentalities in this country that are basically people who grew up with a lack of education. Like, it's just ridiculous. And, the U.S. educational system is down the toilet. I'm not a guru. I am not the smartest guy ever. I actually sucked at math in high school. Like, I was terrible at math. But I got here, and somehow I know what I'm doing. I'm a genius at math. I don't know how that happens, but, I've always had terrible grades in math until I got here to the U.S. That should say something. I've been through many educational systems. That's kind of like one of the bragging things I like to say, is that I've survived the Mexican education system, the British educational system, the Swiss educational system, the French educational system, and the American educational system. 5. Nobody else can say that in my family. They just can't. Or that I know of. Like, in Switzerland, by the time you're done with 5th grade, they made you pick what kind of career path you want to lead based on your grade or basically the equivalent of your GPA and what you want to do. Do you want to do something with the sciences, economics, languages? You have to pick something. And then, if you don't have the grade for it, you basically are dropped to a lesser level. And these are 5th graders. The French system, you have to pass overall exam in each subject to graduate. And determining whether or not you go to university is based on, conditional acceptance on what grade you get, score of 0 to 20. And if you do meet the criteria, then you get fully accepted. It's harder, and it makes for smarter people. You have people here with degrees who have no clue where Ireland is. Or, I don't know what to study. Let me just coast in high school and study Spanish and then not use it and go to some crappy community college. And next thing you know, I'm, great. I don't know what to do with my life. I'm 25 or 30 years old. I have no idea what to do. And there's all these online courses and all these programs that help you better yourself. It's just asking for more money out of you. And it's a problem here in the U.S. And correct me if I'm wrong. Do you know where Bhutan is? That was a question I was asked today. I'm like, yeah, I know it's in Asia. What the official language is? There's certain things I don't know. I had to look it up. But this was a question from the Reynoldsburg Police Department. and all I did was Google it.